Hey, it's Mr. Keys, and today we're going to talk about playing bass lines using 16th notes. Previously, we spoke about this in the chord series in these videos here. Review these videos if you need a refresher on what 16th notes are. We'll be using the same beat from the 8th note rhythm bass video. Here's the notation again. So we're in 4/4 time. We have 4 bars. And we have 2 chords per bar. So A minor, D minor, A minor, D minor, A minor, D minor, F major, and G major. And if you remember from last time, they're all 2 beats each. And there we go. Okay, so this time, if we're going to use the grid notation, we're going to use the 16th note grid notation, which means that we're going to divide each thing into 4, and then each thing into 8, and then 16. So the counts that we have are going to be 1, E, and this is beat 2, E, and beat 3, E, and beat 4, E, and because 16 notes, 4 16th notes fit into one beat. In this video, we're also going to draw in notes a lot, so we're not necessarily going to use the grid exclusively. So if we wanted to draw in a 16th note, this is what it's going to look like. Remember, you got to hold your command key, and then it turns into a pencil down here, and there we go. So now this is a bit high for a bass note. So our first note needs to be A, so A is right here. Okay, that sounds a little bit high, so I'm going to bring it down to here. That sounds pretty good. Maybe even 1 octave lower. Okay, there we go. So a 16th note is going to go up until this line right here. And 4 of them will fit into one beat. So we could draw them in. We could also play them in. This time I'm going to play them in. And the first rhythm that we're going to do is going to be the following. So we're going to tick off every single box in this grid. All right, so this is what it sounds like. All right, so if we bring this up again, now we can see all of our notes, and we're going to quantize by 16th notes this time since we're playing in the 16th note grid. And there we go, everything's lined up perfectly. For the next pattern, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to notate it this time. I'm just going to show you how you can manipulate some of these things down here. So I'm going to take out a couple 16th notes randomly here and there. I'll do the same pattern for each of them. So I have 1, 2, 3, I took out the next 2. So 1, 2, 3, took out the next 2. Take out the next 2, take out the next 2, take out the next 2, and so on, all the way down for every single chord. And we can just listen to how the pattern changes based on what we took out. That sounds pretty cool. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shift around some of these notes. So our next pattern, instead of creating notes, I'm just going to move some notes around. So I'm taking the 3rd note for every chord and moving it to the 4th position. And we're going to see how that changes things just a little bit. And we got one more. Okay, let's listen to it now. All right, I like it. So those last 2 patterns we just created blindly, not even planning anything out, not drawing anything out. So one technique that you can use when you're creating bass lines is maybe fill in the entire grid with 16th notes or with 8th notes, and then take away notes or move them around or something like that. And that will allow you to create things on the fly. Now, obviously, if you can play in these rhythms, you'll be much faster than someone who has to click and move things around. But it's just an option for those who maybe aren't as good at playing these notes in. All right, let's try one more rhythm. This time we're going to play this in. And I'm going to delete this. And we're going to write this out again. So 4/4, and it's 4 bars. And just like before, A minor, D minor, A minor, D minor, A minor, D minor, F major, G major. And they're 2 beats each. I'm not going to write it out again. And I'll write out my grid so that we can see exactly where we're going to check things off. The good thing about using notation is that, like I said in previous videos, it allows you to think or to create rhythms that you might not even think about before, kind of just like moving things around in the grid below. So, I mean, it's really up to you how you want to do it, but this is just another tool for your advantage. All right, so this one, I'm going to make things a little bit more sparse. So I'm going to have this come right here, and on the and on these two as well. All right, let's play that in to see what it sounds like. All right, so that's a pretty intricate pattern, and we're going to see what it looks like down below. Now, I made a little note mistake right here, so I'm just going to delete it. And obviously, like if we made note mistakes down here, we could always adjust the notes by moving them left or right, extending them to make them longer or shorter, etc., etc. So let's listen to that one more time. So those are some example techniques for creating bass lines using 16th note rhythms. We used notation and we edited our bass line in the editor window just by listening and figuring out what we thought sounded good. Hopefully, this gives you some ways to create your own bass lines with rhythm.